going to really just jump in. So please consider channel memberships. Well, I will give some little bit more details about Nora's not exactly innocent past, as well as consider supporting the other channels. Just put out some new content. I will try to put up more in the future. All right, I am really not going to guide people too much. So if you know who Nora is and Aaron is, the basic gist is that Aaron's a very big YouTuber. Nora and him were friends for a while, but they had a very vicious split. And it's just been a very polarizing time as both these, well, frankly, dictators are just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Again, I want to state clearly that, yes, Aaron is mostly responsible. He is probably the primary reason that we have so much conflict. So let's be clear about that. But he's not the only guilty party. And I should take some self-ownership, of course, because it has gotten very paranoid and polarizing all around. But holy cow, that video she put out about trauma after the ministry video is extremely deceptive. And I wanted to originally get into the ministry video because I did a couple videos on that, but I brought up the fascism. There was also a lot of racism. Yeah, but we'll deal with that in due time. So I don't want to go too much with my own biography, and I don't want to exaggerate, but I do want to be giving people a short history lesson about how bad it was after 9/11. For those who don't know, there was a very heated debate of whether to go to war with Iraq after the invasion of Afghanistan. And again, like many people, I was very mixed, but very confused. So I tried to do my due diligence and just do a lot of research. And I got involved with some activism. And I want to stress some activism. I went to some rallies, I went to some protests. I did not go to too many, but I went to a few of them. And this really stuck with me when I went to one in Washington, D.C. I think it's 2005. I'm pretty sure it's 2005, 2006. And the specifics don't matter, but there was like one detail that really stuck with me for a long time. And it was actually kind of hilarious. So we got there, but it was a little confusing. So I think I know I was with someone else. So we were walking down, we were a little confused. And this guy was massive. This guy was huge. This guy was like way over 6 foot tall. He could have been easily 7 foot. It was insane. It was like, whoa, who are you? And the guy just lifted his arm. He said, "Oh, traitors go over there." Like, what? So there was a pro-war rally. Yeah. Now the anti-war was way bigger, but there was a pro-war rally, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we got the pro-war side on this side, we got the anti-war on that side. Don't go over there. That could be trouble." And some police were there, and we were guided, but we had to walk along a little bit, and these small kids were screaming at me. They were screaming the most vile things. But the usual thing was traitor, like, "You traitors." And I was just like, I was looking at them for like 2 seconds. I was like, what the hell? They were so young. I was like, I guess these two kids in particular, these are like these two young boys. They're probably like 12 or 13. And I'm like, holy cow, like, you have so much hatred. I'm like, I'm studying books and articles. I honestly don't know what's happening. How do you know? How do you know this is the right thing to do? And it's like, and I was like shaking my head. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what is happening? Well, it was not very eventful. We did our march. We were actually supposed to march down to the Pentagon, but we were stopped. I don't know why. We were blocked. They're saying, "No, you can't go down to the Pentagon." Like, well, why not? Like, we don't know. We can't do it. And when you go to these things, it's a very interesting festive time. People were handing out newspapers, right, sharing stories, music. So it was an interesting experience. My point is this, that I do know a lot of hardcore activists. I don't want to brag like, "Oh, yeah, I was super hardcore revolutionary." No, I'm not going to say that. But I do know people who are very, very active. I mean, they dropped out of school and joined either unions or organizations or charities. They were not playing around. They were very serious about it. I wonder to myself sometimes, could I call those people up and double check and say, okay, let's catch up, right? Have lunch, let's catch up. But listen, I got a question for you. There's this woman, Nora, who considers herself a queer feminist activist. Have you ever heard of her? I highly doubt any of the activist friends I know would know she exists. So Nora talks a good game about activism and pain and trauma and healing, but the amount of phoniness and deception is incredible. So DOS put out a short excerpt of, well, her ranting. And I swear to God, I could not go 30 seconds without pausing and like, that is not true, or you are really skewing things. And the fact is with Nora, we don't have the full story. So I don't know the precise date or time yet when she joined the Sea Org, although I'm pretty sure it's within the ages of 18, 19, or 20. But it's important to know the dates and the time period. But whatever the exact time period, she was an adult. She was a full-grown adult. Again, she was very young, but she made a choice. She signed a contract. Now, of course, you can sort of say, well, we need to forgive, forget, understand the context. And then we're like, yeah, but she doesn't do that. Now, I'm not speaking up for Aaron. Let's be very clear. Aaron is a monster. Aaron is copyright striking this channel. So Aaron is what he is. He's a full-blown dictator. He is very, very abusive. He's very, very deceptive. Don't trust Aaron. However, two things can be true. Even someone as very manipulative and deceptive as Aaron will tell you the truth. And not because I want to, but I'm going to say Aaron told the truth and Nora was lying about him. Believe me, I don't want to say anything good about Aaron, but I'm like, he is right that her deception just keeps getting worse and worse. She's just stating things that are wildly not true. And not just about Aaron. You go through the whole thing. Aaron, Hubbard, the history of Scientology, other activists, other people, YouTubers, basic facts about geography. Like basic facts. She doesn't care. She just throws it all out the window. She just spouts her mouth about things she has no clue about. Iran, East Europe. You go through the list. She not at all careful. And even when she's corrected, she says, oh, I apologize. The next day, she does it all over again. It's like, you have to have compassion, of course. I'm asking for compassion. I've been traumatized. I've had physical trauma. I've had mental trauma. And I don't want to exaggerate the amount of activism. Definitely with this, it's more research analysis and not as much activism. But in other places, it's both. It's a lot of research and analysis, and it's a lot of activism. And again, my whole point is not to be the super victim or I was super brave, but it was a scary time back then. I think people want to forget it was really scary, right? You were being monitored. You were being spied upon. It's not a game. It's not a joke, right? People were being repressed. So was I fearful the CIA was going to come kidnap me? Of course not. Let's not exaggerate. On the other hand, you were taking risks. There were a lot of risks. If you spoke out, if you just said normal things, like, well, I think Bush is a war criminal. I think he's a dictator. I think this is all propaganda. That was dangerous. That was very dangerous. You could lose a job. You could lose money. You could lose a friend. It was a very, very polarizing time. And now people want to forget and they're revising the history saying, oh, we all knew. Oh my God, we were all lied to. No, people knew, but they still pushed the propaganda. So my point here is not I'm this great anti-war activist. I'm not saying that. My point is that there are a lot of people involved. And again, what is the cause anymore? I don't even know anymore because definitely it's not anti-Scientology. Like anti-Scientology now is a very small part of what Nora is doing. It's not anti-Scientology. It's clearly just these small little cults, small little dictators trying to take control, trying to manipulate, control, and abuse people. And the best thing you can say for Nora is she didn't actively do this, but she cynically stood aside at best. And these comments are unreal. They're saying, oh my God, you're such an inspirational woman. Nora, as a woman, this woman, we now have no doubt, was aware that other women were being injured, right? Again, I can't verify. I wasn't there, so I don't know for a fact, but we have pretty good knowledge. Women were being hurt. Women were being injured. Women were being abused. You know what Nora did? Nothing. The best thing we say, she did nothing, or the worst is, she knew about it and actively tried to cover it up. This is the inspiration for women. A woman who carelessly justifies the torture and repression of women. Just says, yeah, maybe the Shah of Iran, not such a bad guy. Casually. Thousands of women murdered and tortured. Doesn't care. In her own circle, women who were hurt and asking for help, she's like, I don't care. This is not ancient history. This is last year. And now she's like crying and crying. It's like, I just make mistakes sometimes. No, Nora, that was not a mistake. You had a choice. Help the victims. Don't help the victims. Now, thank God I was not in that situation because I was not part of these circles. I wasn't part of any echo chamber. I was not involved in any email group. I was here by myself, just doing independent journalism. And for that, just for that, I was getting cursed, insulted. I even got threatened. That's right. People were threatening me. Why? Why aren't you supporting Nora? Why aren't you supporting Aaron? What do you think you're doing? Who do you think you are? Okay, all right. Well, I know this. I wasn't tied to that scandal. You can't pin that on me. Can't blame that on me. But Nora, she deserves a little bit of blame. Yeah, she does. And the victims were women. Does she care? No. She's still lying about it. She's lying about Scoville. She keeps lying about Aaron. Like everything she keeps saying is a lie to skew the story to make herself the victim, even when she's not the victim. So, has she done some good activism? Yes. Was she traumatized? Yes. But even there, that is a very skewed portrayal. You're slicing the years when you were hurt. What about those years you weren't hurt? She was in Scientology for years and years. People think like, oh, immediately that's not what happened. That is not what happened. It's not like, oh, she signed the contract and then they locked her up. That is not what happened. That is not what happened. So this is a woman systematically lying and deceiving and betraying people to create a fantasy world. And hey, it's your human right if you want to believe that fantasy world. I'm not stupid. I'm not. I've done my own history of activism and I have my own history of trauma. I could do better on both, right? You got to take a little bit of responsibility to do things better. I could have done more. I could have helped more people. You have to take some responsibility, even when you're a victim, even when you are like literally a government trying to brainwash you. You have to try to resist. You have to try. Nora really doesn't try at all. She just pushes out her propaganda. When she gets caught, she apologizes. Yeah, she apologizes. And then just does it all over again. And then when you try to push back and say, I don't know, I'm a little tired of this propaganda. Oh, you hate women. You hate the gay. You're part of the Trump administration. You're part of the Aaron group. You're the enemy. Seriously? What? Am I Aaron? Am I Aaron Smith-Levin? No. Am I Donald Trump? No. No, I'm not. My own history, literally, like, what are you talking about? I was at anti-war rallies. What? Huh? Now I'm a pro-Trump radical right act. What? What are you talking about? And yeah, I could prove that. You want me to do that? You want me to get people on the phone, get voice recordings, screenshots? I could do all that. I'm not going to do that. That's narcissistic. Say, oh, what were you doing? Yeah, what was Nora doing? Was she at these anti-war rallies? Did I not see her? Did she risk her life out there? Did she risk her body, her career? Did she do that? I know people who did. I did that. So, yeah, I don't appreciate this gaslighting. I really don't. It's really disturbing. It's so disturbing. Now, I've done my small share. I could have done more. I should have done more. Right? But I'm not going to use that as a shield for every single criticism. That's not valid. It's not valid at all. So she says she's getting better, but I'm very skeptical. She wants to get better. It seems like we're just going through the same old cycle. Whenever she gets challenged, here comes the fake crying, the fake memories, right? And then what about you signing up? What about you voluntarily joining the Sea Org? What about you signing the contract? Oh, we're going to forget about all that. Let's forget about that. No, we're not going to forget. We're not forgetting. Not me. Not forgetting the propaganda after 9/11. I'm not forgetting the propaganda you did. You did. The propaganda you did with Aaron. You did that propaganda. Nora, you pushed that propaganda. You did that. You made a choice. You pushed the propaganda. People got hurt. Take some responsibility for once in your life.